I now request that Mr. Neeraj Jain, our chairperson for this morning, be introduced. I request him to share his observations, especially on how the Indian Constitution visualizes the role of religion in society.
The chairman for this morning session is Mr. Neeraj Jain. He did his B.Tech from IIT Varanasi and graduated as a gold medalist in 1982. He is a leading alternate economist in the country. He has written nearly 40 books and booklets and given many talks in India and abroad. He is associate editor of Janata Weekly Mumbai, a socialist magazine first published in 1946. He is a founder member and convener of a progressive activist group in Pune called Lokayat, founded in 2004, which aims at spreading constitutional among the youth. In recognition of its work, the Madhya Pradesh government awarded Lokayat the National Mahatma Samman Award on 2nd October 2019. Sir, thank you for chairing today's seminar. I am sure your study and reflection on the Constitution will deepen and grasp of our love for our Constitution.
Thank you for the kind introduction. You know, chairing a seminar is a terribly boring job. I normally don't do it. But Father De Cruz has been very comradely in his interactions with Lokayat. And so I initially rejected his offer, but then I said, okay, I'll come down. So I'm just going to speak for 2-3 minutes, because I think along with me, all of you must have got very tired. I prefer shorter seminars, 1 or 2 speakers. That's what we normally organize. Then you can have a more intense interaction. And I think the topics on which the various speakers spoke, for me they were very enlightening, and I talked to one speaker throughout the break, and I would have continued the discussions with the other speakers had I had the time. So that can only be possible if you have a shorter seminar in which you have intense interactions and questions and perspectives. I'm going to speak essentially, you see, the point I'd like to make is that the essence of our culture, the essence of whatever has evolved in the past, that has got distilled into the Indian Constitution. This belief that the Indian Constitution has been shaped by Western values, as is being propagated today, is absolutely false. The other side is also true that, well, interactions take place across the globe, and so people influence each other. We've also influenced the West, just like the West has influenced us. But essentially, for instance, you know, the speaker spoke about unity in diversity there in India. There was always there. And various strands came in. In today's times, we are showing a series of documentaries made by Sohail Hashmi. It's called Hindustan Ki Kahani, on how our culture has been a mix of various cultures, including religions, and you really can't separate them out. If you separate out, say, Islam from, or whatever has come from outside in India, you will have to leave out potato, you will have to leave out green chilies, you will have to leave out all these dresses we are wearing. I mean, you will have nothing left. But that doesn't mean we also didn't give anything to the world. We also gave a lot. And it was an intense interaction which eventually led to whatever we've become. So, all these values which the first speaker talked about, that have come into the preamble of the Constitution, liberty, equality, fraternity, secularism, all of them are very strongly rooted in our past. And whatever wrongs were there, or whatever injustices were there, they were also questioned. They were not just questioned for the first time in the Constitution. The Bhakti movement, and why just the Bhakti movement? From Buddha's time, and even earlier from Charvak's time, you have people questioning what they thought was unjust, including the caste system. And I was talking with Professor Dixit during the tea break that we'd like to organize a talk on what I think is the Indian Renaissance, which is this entire period of the Bhakti Sufi movement, wherein people were questioning whatever was happening then. Nanak was the part of that. So it's been a very vibrant society. It's been a society with intense debates. It's been a society with intense interaction, which is what eventually led to this beautiful Indian Constitution. Now, there's a continuous talking going on there. I mean, you ask the people in the front to stay quiet and you talk behind, is it? Now, you see this whole issue of religion being used for nation building, I think the context is that all the religions in our history, their positive values, as I just said, have distilled into the Constitution. And some of it which was debated and which our founding fathers thought were not fit, were rejected, like the caste system. Now you can use religion for both purposes. You can use it to build a nation. Gandhi was a very devout Hindu. But at the same time, he sacrificed his life for religious unity. I don't know how many people are aware of that. You know, in this present whole NPR, NRC, CA campaign, we've been campaigning amongst the people on solidarity amongst religions. And we're organizing a big program on 30th January, Gandhi's Martyrdom Day. And we've been showing clippings from Gandhi's film on Gandhi's fast, you know, that last scene in that film. It's a beautiful scene where he goes on a fast unto death to prevent communal riots in Bengal, Calcutta. The film doesn't go beyond that, you know, it would have been even more beautiful, but how much do you show in a film? It's already a very long film. Then Gandhi went on a fast in Delhi, and he got all the masjids of the Muslims returned, he got the property of the Muslims returned, and 12 days later, he was shot dead. He was going to Pakistan after that. So, that is our legacy, that you can have a devout Hindu standing up for religious unity and respect for each other. And you can also have Jinnah, who was not a Muslim by any yardstick, a traditional religious Muslim, who led the struggle for the fight for Pakistan. So it depends upon how you want to use religion. And I think that today we may be religious. I am not. I am an atheist. But I respect all religions. And I am willing to fight and sacrifice whatever is possible for your right to believe in what you think is right. And therefore, I'd suggest that for us, the Constitution is what needs to be defended. Because that says that all here will be equal. It rejects the concept of majoritarianism. You'll be surprised that at the time of partition, when the neighboring country was being built on religious lines, in the Constituent Assembly, during those 2.5 years the Constituent Assembly was in session, not a single member raised the question of whether this should be a Hindu nation. No one raised it. Isn't it amazing that our founding fathers were very firm that this should be a secular country? When on debating the rights of minorities, just one member said, let the neighboring country give rights to minorities, then we will decide the rights to minorities in India. This was resoundingly rejected by the overwhelming majority of the Constitutional Assembly members, and Dr. Ambedkar said, they do what they think is right and we will do what we think is right. We will not decide on their basis. That's our past. And so, I'd suggest that all our religions, and I'd say all these religions are ours. They may have come from wherever. Ultimately, science today says that human beings came from Africa. So in that sense, all of us are outsiders. No? So this whole debate about who's an outsider and who's not is absurd. It's deliberately being promoted to foster divisions. Our culture has been unity in diversity. So, for me, all religions which are there in this country are ours. And they have evolved. You see, there is a difference between Islam in India and elsewhere. There is a difference between Christianity in India and elsewhere. We have our own traditions, homegrown traditions. And you also have fantastic people like the Hindu Catholic you just mentioned. So, let's respect all religions. All of them have contributed to the building of our country. Their values have contributed to the Indian Constitution. And today, when the Constitution is being questioned, is under attack, is being sought to be distorted, let's defend the Constitution and the unity in diversity of our country. Thank you.